There's a specific kind of smart that makes ADHD nearly impossible to see. Not impossible to live with, oh no, just impossible to spot. So let's get into it, because this explainer is all about that exact mechanism. Think of it less like a label and more like a map for an experience that maybe, until right now, felt completely unexplainable. And this is the question, isn't it? The one that just echoes in your head. You can pull off these incredibly difficult, complex things, but then some totally ordinary, simple task feels like climbing a mountain. This question, this one exhausting question, is the sound of someone applying the absolute wrong framework to the right evidence. And that feeling, that huge gap between what you know you can do and what you just can't, it doesn't just feel like a weird quirk. It feels like a personal failing. It follows you around like this accusation you've never, ever been able to defend yourself against. Okay, so let's start by looking directly at that gap. Let's stare it right in the face, because really understanding it is the first step to completely reframing it. I mean, just look at this contrast. It's wild, right? On one side, you have genuinely hard stuff, steering through a crisis, diving deep and mastering a complex topic. You've done it, you have the receipts. But on the other side, scheduling a simple appointment, answering a text, filing a report that's already finished. From the outside, it makes absolutely no sense. And believe me, from the inside, it feels even crazier. So let's get this straight. The gap itself is 100% real. You were not imagining it. The problem was never the evidence. It was how you interpreted what that evidence meant. That's where it all went completely sideways. It was never, ever a reflection of your character or your true ability. To really get our heads around that gap, we've got to look deeper. We need to look at the hidden system your brain has been running in the background, probably for decades. And here it is. This is the core misunderstanding. Intelligence and executive function, they are not the same thing. Not even close. They live in the same house, your brain, but they are two completely different operating systems. And this means it is entirely possible to have a high-performance engine for complex thought and a system for initiating and organizing that is, well, seriously impaired. So what did your smart brain do? Way back when, totally automatically, it started building workarounds. It's a pattern matching machine, right? So it watched how other people seemed to manage things, and it built this entire internal system to just approximate normal. It started to over-prepare for everything. It became hyper-aware of what everyone else expected. This wasn't some conscious strategy. It was pure compensation, survival. And here's the real kicker. This compensation system, it works. Not perfectly, but it works well enough that people on the outside just see competence. They see someone who's got it together. What they don't see, what maybe even you didn't fully see, is the enormous energy-sucking machine running 24/7 just to keep the lights on. Okay, this brings us to a really important turning point. We have to talk about what happens when a brain that's brilliant at building arguments spends decades building one against the very person it belongs to. And so, the evidence just piles up. Every single time that compensation system had a glitch and couldn't cover a gap, every missed deadline on a stupidly simple task, every moment you were just frozen, knowing what to do but unable to move, your brain filed it away. But it didn't file it as a symptom. It filed it as a data point in a legal case, concluding that you were lazy or undisciplined or just not trying hard enough. And let's be really clear here. Your self-assessment wasn't careless. The observation, the part where you noticed these things were happening, was absolutely 100% accurate. But the conclusion, the story you told yourself based on that accurate observation, was profoundly, fundamentally wrong. It was just the only one you had because you were missing the single most important piece of the puzzle. Please, just let this one sink in for a second. All those years, you weren't collecting evidence of your character flaws. You were simply a very capable navigator trying to find your way through the world without the right map for your own brain. It was never evidence. It was just navigation. So, what changes now? Now that you have a piece of this map, what do? Well, it's not about trying to fix everything at once. It's about finally figuring out where you are. This right here is the single most powerful shift you can make. The next time a simple task feels impossible, you have to stop searching for a verdict.
Stop asking, "Ugh, why can't I do this?" And instead, switch to a diagnostic question. Okay, what does this brain actually need to get this started? The first question is looking for blame. The second one is looking for information. It's a total game changer. And just to be super clear, this is not another productivity hack. This is about finally learning your own user manual. It's about discovering the real conditions, the urgency, the interest, the novelty, whatever it is that your specific brain needs to actually get into gear, instead of constantly judging it for not running on someone else's fuel.
Now, knowing all of this doesn't just magically erase the past. Of course not. But what it can do is fundamentally change what that past means to you now.
Look, there are years in this you won't get back. Years in classrooms, maybe in therapy, in relationships where this core issue was just missed. Knowing the mechanism doesn't give you that time back, but it reframes the struggle. Those gaps were never proof of who you are. They were just the places where that brilliant compensation system finally hit its limits.
And this is the beautiful, almost painful paradox of it all. The very same brilliant pattern-matching intelligence that was so meticulously cataloging every single failure was the exact same intelligence that was building all the workarounds, anticipating the consequences, and keeping you afloat in every high-stakes situation for all those years. It was doing both jobs at once. That person with that brain was doing the absolute best she could with the information she had. She was never the problem, and neither are you.